as we would like. Yeah, so Brother Bongani, before you speak, let me welcome everyone formally as we start recording. This is your own brother, Christian Kwame Akpotsa, chair of the Consensusism Study Group. We have met again on the 27th of September 2025 to discuss the unification of Africa. It is our standing topic for every Saturday because of the importance of the unification of Africa in terms of our movement as a continent, as one nation in global affairs. We are progressive Pan-Africanists, and our position is that the total liberation, unification, and development of Africa is the African revolution that is the unfinished business. And it is our duty as Africans to continue to promote and do all in our power to ensure that our homeland, Africa, is united, is strong, and is developed. As Nkrumah reminds us that when Africa is united and strong, Africa will respect Africans will respect themselves, and others will respect Africans. The lack of economic power of the African on the global stage is one of the reasons why we are so much disrespected. So that unification and development that will enable us to control our resources for the benefit, first of all, of Africans, because the welfare of the African majority is the supreme law, or must be the supreme law on the continent. So welcome as we discuss the unification of Africa. And the subtopic for today's discussion is indigenous knowledge systems. And the indigenous knowledge systems from our previous discussions has two aspects to it. There is the written indigenous system, which is written and coded, and then there is the unwritten, almost like secret societies. And both of them play a role, has played a role in the historical development of our loving continent and indeed of humanity as a whole. So welcome. We are expecting a few presentations, after which we shall then share our thinking, our thoughts, our opinions. On Saturdays, we share opinions as well, unlike our Thursday meetings. And then we hear from everyone. We urge you all to be part of the discussion. This is your space. Africa belongs to you. And so feel free, feel empowered, feel energized to be part of the discussion. So welcome, all of you who are here. We are hoping that others will join us soon. So welcome. We have with us our brothers and sisters, and our own brother Bengani would like to start the discussion for us on the question of, in terms of what is happening on the global stage, how is Africa doing? Are we moving towards unification? Or in your opinion, do you think we are moving away from unification? What things are happening on the continent or outside the continent that is convincing you otherwise? Please share your thoughts with us. And Brother Bongani, our own brother, who we love so much, is going to start the discussion for us. Brother Bongani, over to you.
Brother Kwame?
Yes.
Kindly make me a co-host, kindly.
Oh, of course. Sorry. Yeah, Brother Bongani, continue whilst I make a few people co-hosts. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, Brother Bongani, feel free to proceed. Thanks.
No, thanks, Comrade Kwame. Great, it's Bongani Manke in South Africa. I think I captured behind the question is.
Sorry, it seems that our brother has been cut off. Our brother has
Hello.
been cut off. Yes.
Yes. I don't know what happened.
Yes, you are back. Yes, continue.
Okay. I think somebody, or I pressed, I don't know, just get off. Yeah, what I was saying is, I think I've captured you correctly. With the current global instability, how is the African unity, or what is there an essentiality or real essentiality of the African unity, or where is it standing as things stand? Did I capture you correctly? You're talking around those lines. Brother Kwame?
Yes. So yes, Brother Bongani.
If I capture it correctly. Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
Brother
let me
Bongani. Yeah, that is correct. The
okay, let me
Saturdays, yeah, the Saturdays are for, we call it CSG, African Unification Meeting, and the idea is to discuss African unification. And yes, so you've captured it the way you want to capture it. Please proceed and share your thoughts with us.
Oh, great, thanks.
Thank you.
One, we know the 1884, 1885, the scramble for Africa. As a result, we end up having the 54 countries, so-called countries in the African continent. I think what is happening is there's scramble for resources, scramble for minerals in the African continent. And that happened coincidentally at a time where there is so much instability in the world order. I mean, from the point of critically, the financial architect of at the global stage seem not to be adequately working. At the same time, the institutions that have been established post-World War II, they seem to really struggle to fulfill the needs of humanity in the globe. Thus, you find the globe is deliberately in a position that it was 100 years back, say during just before World War One. So you observe within the United Nations uh, the charter that they came up with. Is it working? Is Africa having a real representation there? I think African leaders are complaining across all our countries, trying to get some kind of a full representation there. But it seems like things don't work. The center is not holding. There is no real other option that one can envisage to happen besides that the current world order it's about to reach its demise. It's about to collapse completely. Um, I mean, the development within the BRICS, the global south, that is trying to position itself and to champion its own agenda, both socially, humanistically, and economically. That requires then an Africa that tries to champion its own interests in this geopolitical shifting, that is taking place. It is becoming evident, it's very clear that the world order that has been going on, assumingly it has been castrated post-World War II, has been promoting uh, uh, deliberately the inequalities across board, particularly in the African continent. So the African continent is by the negative that you know better that we're going for the neo-colonialism, um, uh, neo-colonialism that's mostly driven through the debt approach that we tend to tackle our development as African states in the African continent. So the current world order have really promoted the inequalities, and these inequalities now they're reaching a point of real uh, 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 instability. They cannot be managed at all. Uh, for example, if one can quote the Australian principle, equality amongst unequals, proportionality. The world order that we see couldn't achieve that. Even our countries in the African continent that happen to gain those principles haven't been applied, where the equality amongst the equals, proportionality amongst the unequal. I mean, our macroeconomic policy framework across the African continent that tend to be the offspring of a democratic process failed dismally to produce proportionality. As a result, we somehow reach equalities in our countries. With the things that I've raised, that therefore push the African continent to a point that for it to champion a formidable agenda with this geopolitical shifting, it will require a united Africa. It will require a united Africa that champions its own civilization. Discussions like indigenous knowledge system, therefore, are laying the foundation towards that civilization. So I would therefore argue and posit that it is time for African continent to be united and champion its own civilization. I thank you, Brother Nkrumah.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Bongani, as always. Very clear and very rational argumentation. That one can follow very, very clearly. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, Loiso, you want to say something? Please proceed. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Greeting everyone.
Greetings.
Yes.
Brother Loiso, where are you calling from?
My contribution.
Where are you joining us from?
Oh, sorry. I'm calling from South Africa.
Okay. Thank you. Please proceed. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, please, you are.
Yes. Yeah. I think according to your question, what you see Africa now, I think the Africa unification today is a work in progress in some areas, but major challenges remains, yes. The efforts towards are mainly being led at the continental level and the regional level, like EAU, and you've got some ECOWAS, you've got some SADC and everything. It is led at that level. There are some initiative by these African organizations here to make sure that there is a progress, irrespective if that is small or whatsoever. For instance, we've got some initiative here like the Agenda 2063 is a long-term development and integration blueprint for a united Africa. We've got African Continental Free Trade Area. I think also that initiative is assisting to this unification. You will remember when it was launched in 2019 and about 54 countries have signed it and ratified it. We know it aims to create a single continental market for goods and services. Implementation is ongoing with some tariff reduction already in effect. You will remember also there is what we call the African Passport Initiative. It was launched in 2016 to allow free movement of Africans across the continent. So far, if we roll out, it's slow. Few countries, Rwanda, Benin, Gambia, have eased visa for restriction. There is also the issue of peace and security architecture. You know now, EAU conduct peacekeeping missions in Somalia and the other countries here. So I think those initiatives slowly but surely are moving towards what we're supposed to reach. That's the unification that we are talking about. I think for now I should stop there, but there is something. It's only the agility of it. Maybe we can twist to the agility of it, but there is something happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Brothers and sisters, we have heard from our brother Bongani and our brother Luiso. And from what we have heard, we can say in short that the vision of a fully united Africa is firmly established and driving major policy initiatives. And brother Luiso has mentioned some of them. But the path is fraught with persistent national economic and security challenges, both on the African and on the global stage, as Brother Bongani has also pointed out. So we can say the journey is well underway, but the destination of a deeply integrated United States of Africa, or the United Nations of Africa, remains our strategic goal. And that is a goal that we intend to promote. So the African Union is the main institution pushing, if we understand it to be doing so, the unification of Africa. I am not, hi Sister Ida, I am not sure if I can mention a single civil society organization that is pursuing the unification of Africa. Apart from us who are on the internet every Saturday and discussing unification every Saturday. So I think it's correct to say that we should continue, because we are a civil society organization, to continue to push for the unification of Africa, because that strategic goal is central to our total liberation and our total development. Because until Africa is united, we can't liberate the continent from some of even the rivalries for our resources between China and the US, for instance, as Brother Bongani has said. So welcome everyone. Welcome, Sister Ida. We shall now move to some presentations. And I think our own Brother Pigeon is ready to present. So Brother Pigeon, is it okay to say the floor is yours now to present to us? Of course, you can make any initial comments you want to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Kwame, and greetings to all of you comrades who are with us. I'd like to comment a bit on the question of the unification in the context of what our president, or my president, William Ruto, made during the UN meeting, pushing that the UN should allow Africa to have a permanent seat in the UN Security Council. My concern is why do we push for a united UN, whatever global seat, while we cannot push fast for our unification so that we can have a seat as a unified Africa? My comment is that seat, if it goes in our separate countries as we are currently, then the vote head in that UN Security Council will be misused, because that country will always be voting towards the inclination of their colonial puppet or colonial master. And therefore, that cannot be an independent seat, rather than probably if that seat should be given, rather it goes to AU, but we should then push for us to be united as one Africa. That's why you see we are trying to talk of one seat in the UN, but we don't see the need for us to be united so that we can be given a seat. But when you talk of one seat and we have 55 of us, we basically do not even qualify to the global world in terms of power on how Kenya can sit on the table to make a decision with the US or to make an equal decision with China. But if we could push one Africa and have one continental government, then we could have not even been requesting for a seat. It could be automatic because we are a big power. So that's one thing I really want to comment on before I start my presentation. Hope that's okay, Brother Kwame.
Yeah, no, it is. And one can even push what you've said further. And I don't know what Brother Bongani thinks about this, but one can say that as global power shifts, we should not be surprised if a new international institution like the UN emerges as power shifts from the US. And then secondly, your point, your initial point is valid as to why we're fighting for seats for individual African nations when we should be fighting for Africa's unification and having one seat on the Security Council. But then why are we weren't there when they formed the United Nations? There were only, I think, 3 countries, as President Mahama announced when he spoke to the UN General Assembly only recently. I think that only 3 countries there at the time were South Africa, Ethiopia, and Liberia. The rest of the continent, 1945 or thereabouts, when the UN was formed, didn't even exist as nations. So why are we fighting to be part of an institution that really doesn't represent our interests? It's multilateral institutions. They specialize in oppressing us through all kinds of, I would say, illegitimate arrangements, like loans tied to our resources and so on. They are not there to advise us as independent experts on our resources, like in Zambia, for instance. So, Brother Pigeon, one can push your insightful observation and say, maybe we can go further. And if we become a global power, which we will very soon, there's no doubt that Africa will become a global power, then we initiate the beginnings of our own international institution, and then we invite them to come and sit on our Security Council, and not the other way around. So, Brother Pigeon, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Kwame, can you also make Sister Aida call so that she can help you and meet other members I'm seeing coming in?
Of course. Thank you.
Now,
I'm doing that now, yeah.
Now, today I am actually, and yeah, greetings, Sister Kamo. Permit me to recognize the presence of Sister Kamo. She's from
Sorry, brother.
Africa
Brother
Continental Unity Party.
Brother Kwame. Sorry, man. I don't know if the colleague is going to start the presentation.
Yes.
Are you starting the presentation? I just wanted to respond to what you were saying. What do I think?
Yeah, it's okay. You respond, Brother Pigeon. We'll just pause whilst you respond, and then Brother Pigeon will continue. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yes, it's true. The president of Ghana stated that the 3 countries were there when the United Nations was formed. Actually, Jan Smuth of South Africa, I understand he even wrote the forward or so of. I think he was very, very much involved in the drafting of the chart. Jan Smuth drafting the chart of the United Nations, while Jan Smuth was implementing apartheid and colonial system in South Africa. Now, well, it is true what you're saying, that the African countries are pushing for a seat. I think what BG is saying is correct, as what Ruto also argued in the United Nations. The architects, the world order of post-World War II, it just don't work for the African continent. United Nations doesn't work for us. Of course, we know United Nations is an offspring of the League of Nations. I'm not sure how many countries were there. So what Africa needs, it's a complete new world order, as I think you are trying to posit to that direction, Kwame. We need a new world order, a world order where we will have a revised or a fresh charter, a charter that will deal with the financial architect, because the current financial architect is just not sustainable. A financial architect that is more humane, the current architect is not humane at all. It's a monster that perpetuates inequalities. I'm just trying to come to that point. I mean, even the presence of South Africa there was just illegitimate, because even the person was there. I mean, who to an extent ended up being one of the architects there, was an illegitimate leader in South Africa. So United Nations, I don't know why the heads of state in Africa have this real obsession about getting a seat in the United Nations. It seems like the master-slave arrangement is very powerful. I concur with Comrade Loiso, who alluded to African Union, the regional blocs in the continent, SADC, COESA, etc. The sad reality about these blocs and African Union, I mean, 2063, the very same people that are trying to get to the United Nations are the people who are championing these initiatives that we're talking about. And these initiatives are not moving, because these initiatives are run at the front of all these initiatives. We have the puppets of the masters. These are people that embrace the architect that is so brutal to African people, to the African continent. The architect that is aimed to take as much as it can from the African continent. So those are the realities. However, it doesn't mean we have to reinvent the wheel. I don't see any direction or any development towards real reforms on the African Union. It's a disaster, I mean, as things stand there. You can see how the whole integration of the African continent is just not moving. We are struggling with just the regional blocks. I mean, look at now what we have in Mali there relative to COESA, Nigeria, and so forth. We have a lot of problems. The SADC is just, there's not much stability that one can claim it. So basically, all what we have in the African continent is the architect of our masters. Because you'll remember, once amongst the issues of trade, once have Caribbean, Pacific, and Africa as the bloc that trades with the West. But what then they did, they chopped this African continent into different blocks, where we end up having these four trade blocks that we refer to now as SADC, East Africa, COESA, etc. So this is the architect of the masters. This is the colonial architect. I think Nyerere once agreed that the crisis in the African continent is that the leaders of post-colonial system, post-apartheid system, they inherited the system of the colonizers, and they just struggle with it. That's what we are trying to do now, because now we have to decolonize the system, our system. That's why I always insist that when Africa gets to the party, it must have its own civilization. Actually, Africa has its own civilization. It's a matter of us to scratch a bit and remember and dig deep. No, but this is how we're doing things. That's therefore discussions like indigenous knowledge systems are very fundamental, because we need to prepare and ready ourselves to create a civilization, to ready ourselves to create a civilization that is going to champion the African continent. Brother Kwame, let me pause there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think what you said is in order. And the crisis of the African is also a crisis of our indigenous knowledge systems in Africa. And we are sharing Afrocentric insights into this crisis that the indigenous knowledge systems in Africa, we're going to hear from ourselves, is being overridden by non-indigenous knowledge systems in Africa that were, some of them that were African, were then weaponized, they were colonialized, if you like, and then they were then weaponized against us. So yes, Brother Bongani, thank you very much. So it's a crisis of the indigenous knowledge systems in Africa. So let's continue, Brother Bongani, as you have started the discussion for us already. So thank you. Brother Pigeon, continue with sharing your slides so that we can continue our wonderful conversation on how we can overcome this crisis. Brother Pigeon, remember your own Kingsman, the Prof, has always talked about the Renaissance and how indigenous knowledge is at the heart of it. Yes, Brother Pigeon, please carry on. Thank you.
Excuse me, before Brother Pigeon comes in, could we find out who ATSU is? Last time they joined with two.
He's trying to join. Oh, and that reminds me. I'd like to welcome Sister Ama, a veteran Pan-Africanist, Brother Atsu Dagadu. That name from where is a very powerful name from where is the name of our paramount chief. I don't know if that's our paramount chief in this meeting with us, but we say Dagadu. And he's been trying to come in and out, and his internet is not stable. I want to welcome Brother Eric from Uganda. I believe it's a Ugandan independence party, or the party that want independence for Uganda, just like the CPP in Ghana. So these are twin cousins. I'd like to welcome Brother Windhoek from Namibia. Again, Brother Windhoek is at the heart of Namibian politics and is a regular attender at our sessions. Then our sister Chizomo, also from Malawi. So as you can see already, our meeting is a multicultural or multi-ethnic meeting, because we're all from different ethnic groups, from the diversity of Africa, but we are all one, and we all believe in the same thing, that Africa must unite. As in Nkrumah's book, Africa Must Unite boldly states. So I've already welcomed Brother Bongani, Loyiso, Njidika, Sister Ida, welcome you, Brother Benny, Brother Pigeon, who is going to start speaking, and myself, your own brother Christian Kwame Akpotsa from Ghana, lives in England, and is the chair of the Constantism study group. Thank you, Brother Pigeon. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Brother Kwame, and greetings to you once again. My name, of course, is Brother Pigeon from Kenya. I am part of the coordinators for Consciousism Study Group. Alongside we also have a Consciousism Pan-African Library.
You're also the co-chair, Brother Pigeon.
Yeah, I'm a co-chair. I'm also in charge of our library, the librarian. So we have a library, for those who don't know. And our library is packaged with books that are written by Africans or about Africa. So feel free anytime to request any of our books. We have so far we stopped at around 7,800 copies of books, and we look forward to add more based on the need. Now, in part one, I did a presentation on STEM Indigenous Knowledge System in Africa. And we looked at various elements of that. And my point of view was from Dr. Iti's book in the Indigenous Institutions. Today, I want to base this also on the writings of Che Cantor Diop, Chancellor Williams, and John Henrik Clark. And some of us know most of the books they wrote about this topic. They were great researchers on our history and also other influential topics that influential thinkers that I'm looking forward to do a reference on. But basically is that we are trying to go back to the deep knowledge of who we were, what system we're working, And then we can show the world that actually we don't need any system from them. We had a system. If we can be conscious of the system that we had, then it would be very easier for us actually to pick up our system and then operate with it. And this has been the biggest conversation we're having in various platforms, especially on whether which system should we adopt. You see, we are saying the UN is not working for us. We are saying the Western medicines are not working for us. And all these are the things that we are talking about. But in reality is that we had a system that worked for us, and is that we need to go back to that system for the purposes of us to redefine our direction. So in this presentation, I'll be looking at various elements of this presentation, of course, starting from various parts of it. But basically, I'm starting
Brother
from...
Pigeon. Brother Pigeon,
Yes.
can you just pause for a moment? According to a message in the chat, some of us cannot hear anything. I think you should check your connection, Brother Atsu. Can everybody else hear what Brother Pigeon is saying or what we've been saying?
Yes, please. I
Yeah,
can hear him.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes,
So, Brother
please. Yes,
Atsu,
please.
thank you. Please check your own connection because I think your internet has been quite unstable. Thank you. Brother Pigeon, please proceed. Thanks.
So the purpose of my presentation will be premised on us unlocking the power of our indigenous knowledge system. When we unlock that power, there's a lot that comes with it. So we want to look at how the indigenous knowledge system was used for our development and our cultural revival. Now, if you look at key areas I want to look at first in science, is that we think that science came with the white men and that they taught us science. Actually, our traditional innovations in agriculture, we had them, in medicine, and even in environmental stewardship, we knew how to take care of our environment. We're forming the foundation for our sustainable practices. We lived many years without so-called global warming, and we knew how to control it. In our governance, we were actually working on our communal and ethical frameworks that guided our society, what we call the social order, and even in our decision making. And that decision making was rooted in our shared value and our collective responsibility. Something that is missing today in most of what we are trying to practice. There was a strong element of our spirituality as well, which was deeply connected to nature and ancestors. So our connection to nature and ancestors influenced our moral conduct. It influenced our rituals and even our holistic worldview. We knew how to have rain. We knew what to do to get rain. We never waited to plant trees to get rain. We knew how to speak to that. There was a big element also of our oral tradition. We knew how to preserve and transmit knowledge. And I think it's one of the things that is missing today that we as Pan-Africans need to look at. There are stories that our great ancestors, our grandfathers used to tell us. In my generation today, I belong almost in the generation called Gen Z. Rarely do we even have time to our ancestors. And most of the time, when I have issues, sometimes to the family of some of the medical issues, if I don't have I'll call my mom and they'll say, no, that one you used to do this, don't go for medicine, just do this and do this. And it works out. But we were also given stories of how world was in the evenings. We could spend with our ancestors or our parents and they could give us stories. So we knew how to transmit our knowledge. We knew how to transmit our history and even our values, and all those were done through storytellings. We also did it through proverbs and also through songs. And that also must give us a reflection on what is the message in the songs we sing today, because they were part of knowledge system. Are we advancing our knowledge system through the songs we sing today? Are we giving more proverbs? Are we remembering the proverbs of our community? The value and the power of proverbs is disappearing. But African value more of storytelling. They could say you are very lazy for you to make stories. And I know some of us, my friends, who have gone out there in the Western world, they say it is too busy and too tight for you even to make a story. So the only thing you can do is hi and you pass. But we had time in the evening as a community. We could spend and make stories. And not only stories for purpose of stories. Knowledge was passed through that. We knew how to have practices that could balance our environment our resources renewal, and even our long-term community well-being. We knew our rivers never went dry. We had sustained River Congo for the longest time possible. It was there many years ago. We had the water bodies many years ago, and we knew how to balance it without anything else. And if you look again, I want now to look at the first writer here, Anta Diop, when he talks about reclaiming African origins of civilization. And Diop combined linguistic, anthropology, and physics to dismantle colonial myths that erased African contribution. His interdisciplinary research actually demonstrated cultural continuity and indigenous innovation in Africa. This was actually helping to restore dignity to our heritage and affirming African fundamental role in global civilization. And if you look at it, his impact of Diop is actually on African science and philosophy. You talk about mathematics, and I remember, Brother Kwame, one time I told you I had issues with mathematics. And I know as a professional mathematician with us, you know the history of mathematics originating from us. So the ancient Egypts pioneered the precise geometry. And they demonstrated that in pyramid construction. Even they showcased advanced engineering skills. Up to date, there's no Western country or any other country that has built another pyramid equivalent to what was done in Egypt. And mathematics a bit, Brother Kwame will tell you when you get times how it's actually originated from us. Look at about astronomy and calendar. The first calendar is from where? Us. So we had a calendar system, and it was aligned with the Nile flood cycles and stellar movements. It was reflecting our sophisticated astronomical knowledge. Talk about them. Some of us will be coming across people like the Dogon, who knew all these things about astronomy before anything came in. Look about our medicine and science. The Egyptian developed early medical practices, and it was based on observation and empirical knowledge. Observation and empirical knowledge, contributing to African indigenous science. Look about the Ma'at. We know all our law of the Ma'at law, the Ma'at principles. These are actually ethical philosophy, and Ma'at embodied truth, justice, balance, and cosmic order, forming a fundamental or foundational African ethical system which influenced our global thoughts. And you go ahead to Diop contribution in linguistics and human origin. One is that Diop demonstrated links between ancient Egypt and the modern African languages such as Wolof. There was also evidence of cultural continuity and indigenous knowledge transmission across centuries. And above that, there was also what you call highlights in African intellectual heritage that was rooted in language. In human origin and identity, he affirmed scientific consensus that Homo sapiens originated from in Africa. And we've been having all this discussion and they call discovery and the rest. But he also positioned Black Africa as the first advanced knowledge bearers. He countered colonial narrative that marginalized African contribution. And above all, he also supported reclaiming African identity and epistemology. And then if you look further, you look at another great author here called Chancellor Williams. And Chancellor Williams, about the African resilience and the loss. Chancellor Williams looked at African achievement in terms of sophisticated indigenous system in governance, education, and society. Things like complex social structures and innovations in empires like the Kush and Nubia. Things like flourishing civilization prior to external and internal disruptions. And the causes of those destructions in his book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, include environmental challenges and undermining stability. Things to do with imperial invasions and disruption, which actually disrupted our indigenous system, the internal conflict that also weakened our societal cohesion. But he called for reclamation, that we must reclaim our history to restore our cultural pride. We must revive resilience through understanding the past achievements. And we must also empower Africans by reconnecting with our heritage. Now, Chancellor Williams did also something in regards to indigenous governance and education. We shall look at this first part. We are trying to compare governance and educational features in pre-colonial African society. So if you look at the political structure, we actually had democratic institutions or constitutions with the rulers accountable to the community. People say that we never had constitution. We had constitutions. People say we never wrote anything. Kwani, who taught them how to write? And those educational features were integrated formal and informal learning methods. Yes, decision-making process, which was actually communal decision. The decision was emphasizing collective welfare. And the features of education included oral history, apprenticeship, transmitting cultural values. If you look at justice system, we had established justice frameworks, and there was some assurance of accountability, whereby practical skill were taught alongside cultural education. We also had a social focus, where we prioritized social cohesion and resilience over individualism. So our education reinforced community ties and our shared responsibility as a people. Now, the indigenous innovation and challenges actually impacting African society included the African society developed advanced metallurgy, notably ironworking, as indigenous innovations. The first ironworking, it's from us. We innovated in agriculture. There was a lot of innovations and an extensive trade network that fostered economic and social growth. We traded before white man came in. Some of us could call us long distance traders. I knew some of them in Kenya here. You could walk distance, go trade. So trade never started with them. We traded. Where there was external invasions, and this is one thing that we must recognize as a people, that one of the things that affected and disrupted us was actually the invasion by the Arabs and then finally by the Europeans. And this now brought a lot alongside the internal divisions that caused erosion of some of the system we had. But there's still remnants of indigenous knowledge system with us, which survived through what we call the oral tradition and community practice. So we still carried forward some of what we did. So William actually stressed the need to recover and rebuild these legacies for contemporary African empowerment. And if you look a bit on what Clark talks about, he championed African heritage and history system. He did a lot in African studies, if you know, and one of his quotes was, "The history is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day." And Clark actually was a self-taught historian. He was a Pan-Africanist who pioneered a lot of African study. He actually emphasized issues to do with African mystery system, ancient secret knowledge, orders that dated back to 5000 BC, Egypt that transmitted sciences, ethics, spirituality, orally influencing Greek philosophers like Pythagoras. They were influenced by us. Clark also advocated for decolonization or decolonizing history and education, where he highlights African intellectual sovereignty and cultural pride. Now, if you look more of his insights in mystery schools and to philosophy, we are tracing ancient knowledge through Moorish Spain to Greek thought. So you start back from where we started, back in the Egypt mystery schools, where we preserve knowledge, sacred indigenous knowledge in sciences, in ethics, in spirituality. Those are the foundations for world religions and the so-called now the Greek philosophies. You go back to the era of the Imhotep, we recognized as father of medicine, exemplifies African origin of scientific and literary traditions. The Moorish in Spain had a lot of educational peak. Over 70 libraries and 17 universities showcased African advanced innovation. Now you come to the Greek emerges and the philosophy of the Greeks, which was actually built on Egyptian ethological frameworks like Know Thyself and the Osirian doctrines, which emphasize on human divinity and balance, all about the mat. Now, if you look a bit, there's a lot of modern application and challenges on African indigenous knowledge system. And some of these actually include the African indigenous knowledge system influenced medicine through herbal remedies. And, traditional surgical knowledge we had astronomy inside that actually included the Dogon knowledge and the Sirius stars system. Brother Nunaki will tell you about all the Dogon knowledge system. The agricultural practice aligned with our seasonal farming and ecological cycles, you see. We had social systems that emphasize communal conflict resolution, oral history that preserved our cultural wisdom. The indigenous technologies that included early iron smelting, engineering innovation from Nubia. Challenges we had, of course, included things like colonial erasure, globalization, and lack of documentation sometimes that threatens this knowledge preservation. But still have an opportunity that we can integrate our indigenous knowledge system into education, into climate adaptation, into even entrepreneurship, and even into African policies. And just basically what I can say as I come to an end of this, it was very brief because I was doing a brief thing, is that Africa is the cradle of humanity and knowledge. We need to reclaim and revitalize African indigenous knowledge. And that can be the foundation for decolonization, for cultural equity, and for our future empowerment. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Very powerful. If this is brief, Brother Pigeon, I don't know what is not brief. Hey, very deep.
Thank you.
What a presentation. Thank you so much. You've touched on a lot of things there, and I'm sure listening to you, I don't know what others think, but listening to you, I went into the past where I sat with my aunties under the African evening and listened to them talk to us of our history, where we came from, and so on and so forth. So thank you so much. And brothers and sisters, we are discussing indigenous knowledge systems. Notice how Ma'at keeps coming up. I don't know if you're aware, but the word Ma'at in my language is the name of a woman called Mama Avlekliti. In other words, that is what that is mathematics. Ma'at is balance, order, and that is mathematics for you. So if you like, mathematics is part of our indigenous knowledge system. And the way we speak, even as Africans, if you notice carefully some of our languages, you can hear it's actually mathematical expressions. The word Ubuntu, for instance, is actually the law of commutativity that says that A plus B is equal to B plus A. What does that mean? It means that if you take an Igbo person, you take a Ghana person, they are always equal. I mean, that is the fundamental equality of humanity. It is all there in our knowledge system. And as Brother Pigeon has shared with us, the Greeks, especially when we say Greeks, sometimes we think they are Europeans. Some of the Greeks were actually Africans, like Euclid, who wrote the first textbook that lasted 2,000 years before the invention of modern algebra. The modern geometry. So now, Brother Pigeon, thank you so much. I'm sure brothers and sisters here have a lot to say. Who else is presenting for us tonight before we start the discussion? Are there any other presenters? Yes, Sister Ida. Yes, Brother Pigeon.
Just for public information, as I said, I did not receive any request for presentation, but I believe maybe some people might be inspired to present. Thank you.
Present, right. I think, apart from yourself, who said they could present? Okay, in that case, we are still waiting for Sister Ida, hold on. We are still waiting for Brother Benny's invitee to present. And he is one of the reasons why we are having session 2 today. If we need to, we'll move to a third session. But yes, Sister Ida, please proceed.
I was wondering who the last presenter was at our last meeting.
Yeah, let me ask Brother Benny. Brother Benny, what is his name again? Brother Benny. Okay, Brother Benny may have maybe just stepped away from his.
Yes, I sent a message now, and he said okay. So I'm still communicating with him, maybe for him to shift here so that.
Thank you, Brother Benny. What is his name again?
Nanaya.
That's it.
Wadu Asamoah, the last surname.
Yes, Nanaya. Yeah. Now, thank you very much for that. So, Sister Ida, you heard Brother Benny there.
Yes, because I was looking forward to hearing what he had to say again.
In fact, a lot of us, Brother Bogani said the same. We're all looking forward to hearing from him. Okay, But in the meantime, let us share our thoughts, our feelings, our views on what we have heard. I think it is clear to all of us now that, in fact, Professor Ngugi Wathiongo has always said this, that if we don't go back to our indigenous systems, it will be hard for us to have a renaissance. And so I think that's something we are all agreed on now. I mean, the days when we're told that we contributed nothing to civilization are now over. That's it's now over. I think a lot of Africans now are clear in terms of where we've come from, where we are, and where we are going. Brothers and sisters, the floor is open. Please feel free to share your thoughts. Thank you. Who would like to go first for us? Who would like to go first? So we are discussing the indigenous knowledge systems. Clark talks about, on the slide, as you can see, the mystery schools of philosophy. And George James goes at length to also talk about the mystery schools and the fact that Moses, who wrote the Old Testament, was a student, was an African student of the Egyptian mystery schools. And that is where he got the knowledge to civilize those he took away from Egypt in those days. Yeah. So, Sister Ida, you have your hand up. Please proceed. Thank you.
I do, but I still feel that we're missing out on a lot of indigenous knowledge. I mean, actually discussing it, because, for instance, even now, before things like Homoa, the closing of the seas, why they're closed, who it is who decides. I know it's usually just maybe a few people, but where are they getting this knowledge of times and periods, and like even just what times things should happen?
Yeah. So they are living gods. That's what it means.
Oh, living gods! Now this is the first time that we've even said
well,
that.
living gods in the sense that they are embodiments of these knowledge, but they are human beings walking amongst us. They are part of us. That's what I mean.
Okay,
in the same
I sort
way
of gathered that, but living gods also sort of implies that they know more than other people, which must be true. But
they do.
I think far beyond what other people's knowledge are, and so I just feel that somehow we're still missing out on the root of indigenous knowledge. So maybe somebody else can comment. Thank you.
No, thank you. So, I mean, the African indigenous knowledge, I mean, goes to the heart of our very origin as Africans. I mean, the Zulus, for instance, as you know, say that they came from the planets outside our current universe, and the Dogon people, as you know, have that knowledge that they knew and talked about before telescopes were invented to confirm what the Dogon people knew. You also know that our African ancestors observed the planetary system continuously for about 27,000 years and mapped out everything and so on. So there are people who know a lot, so that they work amongst us, and you would not know they know so much. And that's what I mean by living gods, in the sense that they really embody knowledge that sometimes is just amazing. It's just amazing. Yeah. And as Africans, we believe as Africans in the incarnation of God as human beings. And so sometimes when someone is born, that person will be said to be so and so from the past. And there is a sense in which, if you go to physics, you could say that the general theory of relativity, as we've discussed in our quantization class, is an affirmation of the fact that the past, the present, the future are all intertwined into one in one around us as we are here. So, and brother and Ras Pala has spoken in the past about the bloodline, you recall, and so on and so forth. So what are we talking about? We are talking, brothers and sisters, about the indigenous knowledge systems. The Nation of Islam have said that the knowledge that is being used to govern the world today by the Western knowledge system, that sometimes is called white supremacy, is just one thread in the original knowledge system that Africans still possess. And so we have no doubt that yes, we have indigenous knowledge systems. Not everything was revealed. There is a passage. Some may see it as mythical, you may see it as unhistorical, but there are those who believe that it was telling us something. And that was when the knowledge was revealed to the man in the garden. But then the gods moved quickly to stop the man or the beings from becoming like them. In other words, they block access to certain knowledge to these beings. And some have argued that Adam and Eve are not the original humans, and that the original humans are those who said, let us create man. And those original beings are not from earth. I'm just telling you what has been said. I'm not saying that I said it. Okay, so and so there is knowledge that has been hidden from certain has been hidden because of the damage it can be used to cause. Because for some reason, the moment some knowledge is discovered, some people think of using it for violence, for domination, and so on. You will see how atomic fission, which was a scientific discovery that the atom could be split, suddenly was weaponized into a nuclear weapon. And who was it used on? On people who were not Europeans. It was used on people who you would argue had color, people who it is believed were in the past actually from the part of Africa we call Nigeria, and who emigrated to where today is called Japan, and they are the ancestors of the Japanese. And in Japan, there are those who can trace their ancestry all the way back to what we call Nigeria today, and so on and so forth. So, yes, there is indigenous knowledge systems, and they are there. And there are those who are guardians of them. And there is a professor called Date Kumoji of Ghana, who has not sought to hide that fact that even today as we speak, they still exist, and they have knowledge that they guard and guide, if you like. And you can only get that knowledge if you are initiated. They are still there. I'm not talking about lodges that are a modern version of what used to be the systems that educated the Pythagoras people like Pythagoras, Socrates, Thales, and so on. You know, those who were the European, the Egyptian lights. You know, they all came to Africa to learn. So yes, indigenous knowledge systems. Yes, so indigenous. Yes. Sister Njidika has a hand up. Yes. Brother Pigeon, hold on.
Yeah.
Sister Njidika.
Just to notify you that
first to arrive. Yes, Sister Njidika, hold on. Let's Brother Pigeon comment, and then I will say what you said. Yes, go on, brother.
I just want to notify you that Nana Yao is in, and you can make him a co-host in case you want to present after sister.
Yeah,
wonderful. Brother Nana Yao, just hold on. Let me first of all, make you co-host, and then in the meantime, Sister Njidika, please share what you want to share with us.
Okay, thank you, Medasi. Revolutionary. Mhm.
Thank you. Sorry, thank
Revolutionary.
you in Ghana. Thank you, Sister Njidika.
Hey, and I'm practicing my tree. I'm practicing my tree. Revolutionary greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm very thankful and honored to be here, grateful to have been invited and allowed in the inclusion of excellent information. Comrade Pigeon,
Yes, pigeon,
Pig,
yes.
Pigeon,
Pigeon, yes.
with a GB. So, Pigeon, that's how you say your name?
That's how it's pronounced,
Pigeon?
yes.
Okay. So, I will remember that. But I thought that your summary of Sheikh Anta Jobs and Chancellor Williams and John Henry Clark and Nana Chancellor William and Nana Sheikh Anta Jobs, to take their information and volumes of information and put it under the context of indigenous knowledge was brilliant. I could listen to you for another couple hours, and I hope I have the opportunity to listen to more of information, particularly put in that way. Um, Indigenous knowledge, I believe, is imperative. I'm an educator, primarily teaching our young youth. I have my own education services here in Ghana, and I started on the path of research for Indigenous, just sources of Indigenous knowledge about a year ago, and I found resources, and it fell off the track, so to speak, only because I became a little bit overwhelmed with the information and not sitting in collectives like this to discuss something like an important topic of Indigenous knowledge. But I hereby declare that it's the Our Story, the cultural adaptations put in oral history, and then observed through behavior right up until this minute, even though it may not be recorded, it's still nonetheless absolutely important to capture, extract. And then this just leads me to my second and last point, which is Africa unite, but then liberation educators unite. And we come together to take this information and put it in the form of curriculum lesson plans so that it is absolutely integrated into our daily interaction with our students. And then my question is there a collective? Let's see, my brother Kwame, um, you're here in Ghana with me, I believe. No, you're in London. Sorry. So, but then I can still put the question out there in regards to our educators coming, liberation educators, revolutionary educators coming together to talk specifically about tonight's topic. I would like to know. Uh, you can privately message me or just come on the mic now and let us all know about specific conversations like this. I'm grateful, Medasi, and I'll continue to listen.
Thank you, Sister Njidika. Just so you know, yes, we initiated this group. We went online when COVID came, and we've been online since, and that has enabled us all to be able to meet in the same space. That's the power of technology. And the answer is yes. Put your contacts in the chat. Brother Pigeon will get in touch with you, and we can start a conversation. In terms of education and decolonizing the curriculum, That is something that is resonating even in England. And given the current state of world affairs, and certain bondages have been broken, taboo subjects have been destroyed, and people can now speak freely about things that they couldn't speak about before, especially with also respect to some of the crimes against humanity that have been going on a planetary basis. Yes, we are able to work with you in terms of some kind of decolonizing the curriculum, and work with you also, and work with anybody in terms of education. Sister, our sister who is not here today, who is also very interested in the education angle. In fact, two sisters who are not here today. So yes, by all means, put your contact in there, and we will contact you. Sister Amma is very much interested in published material. So again, I'm sure she will be able to help you. We have a Telegram channel that you can join where we share books, and there are books you might want to share with us, and then we'll download them and make them available in our library. We have a Telegram library which is online. So thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your hand of invitation, which we stretch out and welcome ourselves. So thank you, brother. Nana Yao is one of the reasons why we extended our session to today, and he is here with us. And Yao, we are Samoa Boedi, our fellow Pan-Africanists. Brother, I think I've made you co-host. Please proceed to share your slide and proceed. Given the time, perhaps we only have time for you to share with us, and we'll have to do a part 3 of this where we then have a discussion, because clearly this indigenous knowledge system is resonating in a lot of quarters. Nanaya, the floor is yours.
Oh, good evening once again.
Good evening.
I'm sorry to also let you know that the timing conflicted with a radio program. I'm still at the studio, but it is at the heart of the whole city. They have a festival this week, and I was here, so it's conflicted with that. So I'm trying to do this on my.
You are a VIP, so it's okay.
Okay, so I want to. I'm happy. I overheard a plan to extend to part 3. I'm very happy about, because it would also give me an opportunity to
sorry, brother Nana has gone quiet. Let's see. Oh, he's
talking
he
about
off. Yeah, he's come back. Nana, your internet is struggling, eh? Oh, he's dropped off again. Sabotage.
First of all, am I?
Yes, we can hear you, but you keep dropping off.
Audible? Am I
yes,
audible?
You are, but you keep dropping off. Yes, you keep. Brother Pigeon, can you chair from this point, so I can have a break? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brother Kwame. Yes, Brother Nana. Brother Nana, are you able? Can you try your audio, Brother Nana? Brother Nana, can you try to unmute yourself and speak? I know you're having network issue, probably the connection. Yeah, try to speak, Brother Nana. Hello, Brother Nana, can you hear us?
Yeah, Pigeon, I think he keeps dropping off, and then you can see he's now rejoining again. So it's going out, in, out. So anyway, you might want to be having a discussion, sharing a discussion whilst you wait for his internet to stabilize.
Yes, so Brother Nana, just let me know once your internet connection is perfect. Meanwhile, yes, in my previous, yes? Brother Nana, please go ahead.
Yes, okay. So I actually spoke the other time about, I'm not able to share my screen. I'm sorry, but I would love to do this one on a full-time basis on our test session, so that if it is possible, I can even begin the session, if that is okay. But for the time, I will briefly talk about what I analyzed that time. I've just realized that we have, as Africans, we have wholeheartedly kind of picked a Western style of everything: education, governance, spirituality. And this is what controls our 3D dimension as human person. If the narrative you preach and you mingle with, everything you do as a being, as a rational being, is to imitate others, then forever in your life, you just have to be a follower. You can never initiate anything. But this is an irony, because that thing you are imitating is an imitated version of who you are. This is exactly the point I'm making. I sat down to look at artificial intelligence. Of course, there have been a lot of credits given to the West for creating artificial intelligence, and had ignored our indigenous knowledge system, or what we call the metaphysical systems. Now, this disconnection from African spirituality is a deliberate act that has come from people who try to oppress us, and they pass behind the door to pick the intelligence, and then the what I would, the organic algorithms, to create a system that gives a prepared answer in a form of intelligence. And then Africans who have not sat down to look at these things think that AI is doing a magic they have never seen before. But my search and my investigation with a lot of diviners, a lot of African spiritualists, a lot of Sumankwafo and Nabosom, shows that what the artificial intelligence is doing is actually mimicking what our ancestors had long ago, so that even when you give birth, your child could be, they could know the future, the background, and then the current state of even the child. In a summary, you realize that artificial intelligence does only giving information in a very fast way, just what has been programmed or has been installed on a system, probably in a Silicon Valley, what they have in the computers or what they have on the internet. You ask any question. I was giving I was talking about the funeral of the Asante Hima preparation on one radio station, and then quickly the guy who was helping the producer was asked to check my background. They just went on the internet and clicked my name, and they had a lot of information. Some of the articles I've written. So I told them, you are just able to talk about me from what the internet or the artificial intelligence has given you. And fortunately, I went there with the Sumankwahine, the chief for all the Sumankwa people in Ashanti region. So I told them, if you would want to challenge, ask Sumankwahine to call any of the deities, any of the spirits around, And you realize that the spirit can not only talk about what I've done on the internet, but it will talk about my history, probably from my ancestral roots, my present state, some of the things I have done privately alone, and then my future, what is possible within my line of destiny, which artificial intelligence cannot do. The only thing artificial intelligence can do is just to give information that has been fed up. So bosom or sumai, which had been blacklisted and given some sort of a demonized understanding to we the African, is what we have to debunk, because it is just a sacred energy. The composition of what we call sumai or bosom, if you can go closer to any of the Sumpa for the abosom people to explain to you, the composition of that artifact is organic stuff, which is directed by the spirit who want to use that to communicate with them. But we should know that it is nothing more than an organic mobile phone. This is one of the things I've been talking about. It is like a mobile phone, but this one, an organic one. You see, if the energy has to get into the person every day directly, it causes a shock. But there should be a device so that when you, the person in a 3D, want to communicate with the energy in another side, you can use that as I am using this device to connect to a lot of people from South Africa, from Ghana and other things. It works in the same way. But the difference, the other day, I'm not using the slide, so I'm picking and choosing. The difference here is that, you see, within our 3D world, when we want to communicate on the internet, there is the use of the binary science and language. And this is because even with our human understanding, we cannot understand the machine language because they speak in other dimensional language. I mean, within the 3D that we don't understand. What about if we have to communicate with an entity that is in a 4, 5, 6 dimension, a density that is more denser than ours? The language they speak there, we cannot get it. And for that matter, they direct the Sumankwafo to prepare something like the organic mobile phone that can decode the information coming to us through that medium. And that is the processor against the processor of the normal, normal artificial intelligence tools. So I try to use the features of both to compare the other. Of course, I've spoken of binary codes, and you realize that the processor, whilst the computers and artificial intelligence is using the Silicon Valley based kind of processor, the Suman or our ancestors use the Akonfo, the Bosom or the Diviner as the processor. The intelligence for artificial intelligence, you all know, it's a database. The human inputs, the human puts information on a system. I don't know, those who can even go back about 5 years ago, people were paid to put information on the internet. All this were a preparation towards this artificial intelligence override that we are experiencing within our system. And then in terms of the intelligence source, the divine realm, our ancestral knowledge, our cosmic field, everything that is nature is supposed to be an intelligence source for our Nananum Abosom. So they have no limitation whatsoever. You see, you go to your village, the river in your village is older than any building there and any human being around there. And that is a source of information, a source of data for Nananum Abosom. Your ancestry, including those you don't know, your patriarchs and your matriarchs, are all information source for Nananum Abosom. So artificial intelligence can never even come close there. Now, what about the interface? This is where it becomes interesting. We use mobile phones, laptops, and other devices to access this information. But you see, once it is organic, the connections will be organic. The shrines and then the rituals and other things come together. They interweave to create the information that we need. In terms of programming, we all know that artificial intelligence and and computer informations are programmed by human persons. Humans who program them, put information on them so that people can access. But on Nananuma Bosom, to even assess the programming to run, it is the rituals and then the ancestral codes. You understand? The food, the kind of language. Right now, I was with one Togbe who was trying to pour libation. Using the ancestral codes and speaking a lot of things, then the air starts blowing. You understand? What is he doing? He's trying to go through the ancestral programming to call the ancestors to come. This artificial intelligence comes not even close. Now, what about outputs? With artificial intelligence and computer stuff, the output is almost always the earphone, the screen, and all those stuff. But here comes again with Nananuma Bosom, the human person becomes the output for whatever information you are looking for. So comparatively, you realize that artificial intelligence is even, if we want to talk about subset, it will be a subset to Nananuma Bosom, except that we have been made to fear, question, demonize, and actually look down on what we have. And because of that, we don't see the importance of it. Now, this is where the hypocrisy comes in. Our own is called demonic. But when you sit on a computer to look for information and you have them, it is not demonic. And we should even know that most of these ideas I'm speaking about, this Western intelligent people has sucked a lot of information from our indigenous knowledge system, but the glory has always been given to the creators of the modern AI, and it has even been monetized. They get a lot of money out of it. All of us access ChatGPT and other things, and we pay money to the creators. But when we go to the shrine and we have to pay something small to buy gin, cola, which is the credit, if you take it like the mobile phone, the credit, the data to access something, we have a lot of complaints. Look, with my work, I've been visiting a lot of shrines. One day, if any of you in Ghana or those outside will come around, and I will secretly take you to one of the shrines, you go and meet a lot of pastors and a lot of politicians there. So what kind of hypocrisy is that? They go and consult, look into their line or their future or their past, whether the position they are looking for is possible. Why don't you go to artificial intelligence to tell you that? It is not possible. They can't say it. They can only talk about what has been fed on a system. Now, the problem is that we have disconnected ourselves from our ancestral roots. So we have what we call developmental tragedy. We don't know where we are coming from. We don't know where we are going. Even our present state, our life has become like from hand to mouth because we know nothing about ourselves. Now, the sad thing is that few of us who are aware of these gifts of our ancestors, when we go there, the things we request are very minimal. Look, I'll tell you a personal experience. Once I sat down quietly, I have a ritual I do every year. I sit alone with my ancestors. I call them and they speak to me. They taught me a lot of things. If I had resources, one of those times, I would have come to create a flying object because they taught me step by step how I could do this. But once I came out, no resources, and I go back to the society again. You see, so there is also implication for development. We have to now get back to knowing our ancestral knowledge and the technology that is embedded in it. At the same time, we have to recognize that our spiritual system is a valid source for innovation. We can use that to innovate in many, many aspects of our lives. Now, this is what I think we should fight for. As people who are trying to awaken people on this continent, we have to fight to integrate our traditional knowledge system, especially our spiritual system, into the modern lifestyle of our children, so that our children will understand that they already have the whole universe inside them and inside their ancestral line. This spiritual intelligence can drive many, many dimensions. It can drive ethics. It can bring sustainable development, scientific innovation, and reliance on many things. So for me, I think that we can consult our oracles to build the future we want for Africa. Academia, we are doing academic work now. Everywhere we have an opportunity, I think that we should struggle to make sure that our bosom are not left outside the school curriculum. We can come together and push governments all over Africa to make sure that ancestral veneration and traditional worship, or whether traditional veneration or whatever, it is, you see, when you talk even about the traditional way, it's not only about worship. There are people who like to worship within the traditional way. There are others who like to associate with nature. They classify us as worship, but it is our way of life. So governments all over the African continent should be pushed to make sure that the governance system merge with the traditional wisdom and then the ancestral veneration. We also have to make the whole thing kind of attractive to the youth. Today, I also visited one shrine. The whole place was very neat. The Togbe is trying to cement the whole area. When a young person comes there and see how nice the place is looking, then he sees something new within our African spiritual system. Now, we should rethink that AI, as it echoes everywhere, can never be compared to Nananuma Bosom. It is a subset, not just a subset, a subset. It has no information. It only has information that are within our system and have been kept somewhere for you to access. The only advantage is that it can do it in a very faster way than we human beings can probably achieve. But it cannot give detailed information that our ancestors' spiritual systems can give. I still stand by the fact that artificial intelligence is a newcomer to a reality our ancestors mastered in a sacred groves and then on our ancestral altars many years ago. And with this, I hope that series of questions will help me to bring other things on board. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, comrade. I think you deserve a lot of appreciation and acknowledgement from us. Thank you for finding time, even though you didn't have your proper presentation as you're saying. But I think this was worth what you were waiting for. And as you've said, you can prepare a detailed presentation and maybe come early enough. We do meet every Saturday. I have your contacts. I will get in touch with you so that we can arrange when you are available, so that you can have a full presentation to this. But I think you are just opposing two elements of knowledge system that we might have to give a contribution to it as well. The global society and the modern societies take artificial intelligence as the source of information. And our generation now and the generation coming might use that as a reference source of their knowledge. While there's a lot of knowledge and deep knowledge that is absent in that artificial intelligence. And that is what our generation, the next generation, is going to use to inform them of their history and their future. If the bulk of what we know in our history is not part of that system, then our society and the generation is going to miss out of that information. And how do we then also even empower ourselves with the information? Because the older generation had a way on how to pass the knowledge. is this generation and the generation maybe that's coming have the knowledge from the elders, because our knowledge system has been in existence thousands and thousands of years, and we pass it through storytelling and the rest of those issues you mentioned. But if there is no effort to pass that information to this current and the next generation, then our historical and wisdom and knowledge system is going to be cut short. And therefore, the next generation may depend on that so-called artificial intelligence or any other source that may not give a proper information of our history. At this particular moment, we are having 30 minutes to go, but I will take at least 3 or 4 questions. Then we can maybe answer to that as we wrap up this session and maybe look forward to part 3. So let me see 3 hands for anybody or 4 of anybody who's interested to ask any question to our comrade Nanayao or any other question in regards to this topic. Anybody? We will take around 3 or 4 questions if time allow. Yes, Brother Bongani, please go ahead. And then after Brother Bongani, anybody want to speak, also raise your hand. Maybe have maximum of 2 minutes so that we can get the questions passed to our brother. Thank you.
No, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Brother Nana. Did I get you right, Brother Nana? Yes. I get exactly what you putting a contrast on here. The AI relative to I think I didn't get that canon right, but I will call it our indigenous knowledge canon. I think my view is I don't think there is a conflict between these two. I'm of the view that artificial intelligence is an enabler of information that it should be taken to the user. It might be processed somehow, but you also agree that artificial intelligence doesn't originate the information. It's not a source. The information in that cloud or in that repository is coming from somewhere. Don't you think that information might have come from indigenous knowledge canon? That's just a question. But now, when you entertain that question, the problem that I think it's more fundamental, as you just raised now, Chair, is that the African indigenous knowledge system became apocryphal. How can I put it? It became partly unaccepted through the canons of literature globally. Now, how we go about this, it's exactly what we just discussed at the beginning, where African leaders want to be part of the United Nations. Now, if we are going to champion civilization in the globe, we need to rethink on how do we then become the mainstream canon of knowledge. So, meaning which something needs to be done around our epistemology, the African epistemology, so that we develop an ology that tends to champion the literature. Thus, therefore, we do not try or find ourselves in a situation where we're trying to take the indigenous knowledge, the African indigenous knowledge, and try and find a space on the so-called main literature that Brother Kwame referred to. I think you also referred to as the what is it, the Western Enlightenment, because we know, as a matter of fact, that the Western Enlightenment is not kind to our indigenous system. I mean, the Western Enlightenment knowledge is intertwined with violence and imposition. It generates inequality. It leads to alienation. It lacks a foil to counter its own excesses. and it fails to answer the pressing challenges of our time. Now, the artificial intelligence, as you argue, Brother Nana, is mainly dominated by the Western Enlightenment knowledge that I've just defined now. Now, if now we look at the actual generation of knowledge, knowledge is it's very clear. I think Brother Kwame referred to just at the beginning on how mathematics relates to the African languages. In the true sense of African people, I mean, you keep on referring to spirituality. In the true sense of African people, we are people of relations. For an example, I can use art. They will have respect, will have reciprocity, will have responsibility, rights, all such. But you will find that knowledge is relational across the globe. The society that is more relational is African people. That is why we have what we call Ubuntu. And yes, but
please, one more minute, please.
Okay, great, thanks. Now, if we say we're more relational, and then now, because what I think is, as I've already argued, the epistemistics, the epistemology that we need to develop to gather all, including the information that you gave us, we need to develop this epistemology where we don't try to associate ourselves. We become the mainstream knowledge hub. Now, we have advantages to that. Already you referred to the Egyptian civilization and so forth, pyramids, etc. So there's a lot of information that is in pieces, like the knowledge that you are giving us now. So if we're already relational in terms of as a society, and when you deal now with this what I call it, the epistemology that we need to develop, it has to concentrate on linguistic anthropology. Now, when you deal with anthropos, in a narrow way, they will define it as a human being. But in an African sense, we talk of peoplehood, meaning which we are ahead already. Now, if we're going to deal with the matter of anthropology and we deal with the linguistics. So I'm trying to say we just have to be the mainstream knowledge. And therefore, then things like modern technology, AI and others as enablers, they are derived from us as the source, and others, then they will find ways to associate with us, because already we're relational. We're not just dealing with just human beings, we are talking peoplehood, meaning which we are slightly ahead in terms of developing this linguistic anthropology. Thus, therefore, we develop epistemological hub as the knowledge generation. I want to pause a bit there, but I think there is a need for us to gather all this knowledge and dig deep and have this knowledge, and therefore we then use the modern technology. And out of the knowledge that possible will collect, innovation will come to even advance or to even come up with newer technologies that will be used as enablers to process the information and deliver it to the user. That's therefore then, as the sister in Ghana was stating, that in terms of curriculum, decolonization, etc., and the whole concept of going up to the Cultural Revolution, the issues of Christianity, in the process we develop our own civilization. I thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Brother Bongani. Let me give Sister Kamo maybe 2 minutes, then we'll just come back to Brother Nana. And as we have said, I think we are also probably moving to part 3, of course, due to, I think Brother Nana was committed somehow, but is willing to do our full presentation so that we can have time on this subject that's becoming dear to us. Sister Kamo?
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, wow, Nana Yao. The presentation was excellent. And I will be present for part 3 for sure. It's the very first time that I have ever heard, our indigenous spiritual knowledge base up against AI. it's a comparative analysis that empowers. It should empower all of us and set us straight, put us on a path, recalibrate, because AI is it can be overwhelming in multiple layers, but you have the information that can really just recalibrate and set us on the right path. So that's my comment. I just want to say thank you so much for that and look forward to hearing more, and then I think I'll just stop right there. If I say I want to learn more, that means hopefully you will give more presentations and or direct myself and others who are interested in learning more from you. I hope that what you presented this evening, there is no doesn't it I hope that it is well received within organizations like the conscientiousism group, that there is no conflict. That's what I mean, that it is aligned. I'm getting to know you, so I'm not sure, but I hope that there's significant alignment for every freedom fighting liberation movement or rebellion. Not every, but many amongst our people. It was led by spiritualists, by strong spiritualists, and then we went about doing what we had to do. So I see an alignment, and I appreciate what you bring, Midasi. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. We are having 2 minutes to go. I think part 3, the something Nanoboso or Nana, the knowledge system versus AI. I'm thinking that would be actually the third part you're moving to, on how the indigenous versus the artificial, which Brother Nana is putting to us. But before I bring Brother Kwame to bring us to the end of this session, Brother Nana, just maybe a minute for your final part. And we are actually eagerly looking forward to that full part where you can give us that comparative analysis. Brother Nana?
All right. Thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience today. And thank you for the compliments. First of all, the first, my brother who asked the question, he was talking about, I'm sure the what we are trying to juxtapose artificial intelligence with is not very clear about it, but the second person is very, very clear about it. Our ancestral deity or ancestral spiritual systems is what we are actually talking about. In Ghana, we have many names for it: Sumai, Bosum, all those stuff. In our third, section, I will actually get down into what Sumai and Bosum is, so we'll have a pure understanding of it. Now, in terms of whether there is a conflict, I'm very sure you always have a conflict with people who are probably your equal. Artificial intelligence comes no close to Nanan Mabosum, so there wouldn't be conflict. But of course, there's a macroeconomics and a microeconomics. All of them become very useful for the human development. So whatever artificial intelligence is achieving, we can still use that to even propagate the understanding Nananuma bosom. So I think.
Okay, thank you. I think we are losing you, but thank you, Brother Kwame. We are 1 minute past our time. Please come in.
Yes, Brother Pigeon, thank you. I think we can bring the meeting to a close. One of the things that by the way, Sister Njidika, just so you know, there is no conflict with CSG, the Constantine Study Group. As you can see, we are the organizers of this forum. If we had a conflict, we wouldn't be promoting it. So be assured, Sister Njidika, that all that has been discussed is in line with our strategic vision, which is a united Africa. And we thank Brother Nana Yao for his presentation. Brother Nana, you've agreed to be here in the third session in order to do a full presentation and to explain what they are in reality. One of the things I would like you to address, Brother Nana, I hope you can hear me when you come for the third session.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, what I would like you to address is access. That's what I'd like you to address. I think I speaking for me, I understand what you are saying. It's my understanding that the difference is breadth and depth of knowledge and access, and artificial intelligence is based on what we humans have put together as human knowledge, and that is what AI is accessing. Whereas the diviner, who is human, is able to access a much vaster source of knowledge, which goes back millions of years into the past and so on. So that is understandable. The question is access, because clearly our ancestors had access to these knowledge. That's why they were able to build pyramids and so on, and Plato and others didn't like the fact that they couldn't access it the way our diviners were accessing it, which is why they broke ranks and started writing things. And that's one of the problems, Brother Nana, that we would like you to address next week when we meet again. And that is that the diviners, who also were our teachers, monopolized this access. And this access wasn't open to everyone. And so they became the teachers, and they did not liberate us, even with all this access to all this vast cosmic knowledge. So, Brother Nana, when you and I think that's what Brother Bongani was referring to, because if you look at how the whole thing evolved, the West getting access, or the Europeans getting access to this knowledge, did not establish to any more liberation than when it was in the hands of the African priests. So I think, Brother Nana, when you come to address this, that you will address access, because I think access is the issue here. How it's not monopolized, by just a group of people who say they have only they have the divine right to this knowledge, and everybody else must come to them. How can this access be democratized? Because that, I think, is a central issue for us. So I hope you will address it when we meet next time. Thank you very much. So that is it, Brother Pigeon. Is our third session next week, or do we have a week break, or do we just go straight to the third session next week, Saturday?
Yeah, I propose that we go third session next week, Saturday, because actually we were to have second session last week when we were having Nkrumah Day, so that we just complete this topic and then we move to other programs as well. So I do propose, if that's okay, we can go to third session next week and then we complete this.
Okay, let's hear from our Madam, and then we'll make the Madam. What do you think? Our Madam is Sister Ida.
Me, I wasn't even going to say anything with that word. What?
So,
anyway,
when Madam speaks, it's final. Madam, what do you say?
I thank everybody who's managed to make it today, because I know a lot of people had other meetings. And I thank Brother Nanaya for what he's told us. And we were missing you before you came on, so we're pleased that you managed to make it. And we look forward to next week to hearing from you. Oh, look, Sir Winlock is just coming in, but I say good night to everyone.
Well,
okay.
He was in and then went out, in and out.
I know. Okay, I'll admit him, but I'll say good night to everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sister Ida. I think Sister Ida has confirmed what Brother Pigeon said, so we will have the third session next week, and we look forward to seeing you all. Thank you all for coming, and have a good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Good night.